Hey everyone, welcome to The Leader's Edge, your path to personal and leadership growth. I'm your host, Steve Steele, alongside my co-host and partner in leadership, Erlita Ducumos. As certified speakers, coaches, and corporate facilitators, we're dedicated to bringing you powerful principles to fuel your leadership journey and personal growth. Now, whether you're an entrepreneur just starting out, a new leader taking the reins, or a seasoned pro looking to refine your skills, this show is for you. We'll be diving deep into personal growth strategies to help you strengthen your mindset and leadership abilities. Before we jump in, a huge shout out to all of our amazing listeners. Thank you so much for your support and joining us each and every week. We wouldn't be here without your incredible support. Now, let's get down to business and help you unlock your full potential. Ernalita Tucumos, you are back this week, partner. I'm so glad to have you back. How are you doing?
Hi, partner. Hello, everyone. This is your co-host, Ernalita Ducumos, and I am doing great. Yes, I know I missed everyone last week. I miss you too, partner. I'm doing eh, actually very fantastic, and I cannot wait for our
You're
guest
doing very
today.
you're
I know,
doing very
I know. I
fantastic.
can't.
I love it.
Unfortunately, my fab is coming out, as everyone knows.
Ah,
But
yes.
I would like to do a shout out to our guest co-host last week, Ms. Dory Lamar. Thank you so much
Yes.
jumping on my behalf. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But partner, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Ernie. I'm doing great. Yes, last week we did miss you, and Dory did outstanding. She did a wonderful job, and I just loved having her on the show. Oh, I missed you, partner, and I'm glad you're back, and I'm doing great. But today, partner, we have got a really special guest with us. I say that every week, but this guest, oh my gosh, when we first met him, he lit up the room, he lit up me, and I know that he's going to like the audience today. So, Ernalita, take a minute and tell us a little bit about who this gentleman is.
It would be my great pleasure. Yes, it's been a long time coming. It's almost a year, and we've
Yes.
been very excited to have this amazing man in the green room. So, our guest today has over 35 years of experience speaking, leading, and coaching individuals and teams in areas of business, community leadership, and sales team development. He started his own business at the age of 22 and quickly became one of the highest performing individuals in the organization, which ultimately led to a 38-year career with one of today's largest U.S. franchisors. As head of sales operations, he led the training and coaching for over 1,700 franchisees, partner. 1,700. He
Oh, that's amazing.
transitioned into full-time speaking, coaching, and development training as an executive programs facilitator in 2018. He is a certified Maxwell leadership coach and faculty member who teaches the Maxwell method of speaking, selling, coaching, and speaking. He's also a certified consultant in the Maxwell method of DISC, so many titles, and
Yeah.
emotional intelligence, EQI, and EQI 360.
Mm.
Everyone, please help us in welcoming Mr. Tim Novak to the green
Oh my
room.
God.
Wow, my gosh, Tim, I can't believe you're here. It's been
Well,
almost a year, brother.
it has been almost a year, and I can't tell you what an honor it is to be with you and your audience today. I am super excited to be here and can't wait to jump in.
Hmm.
Wow. We are. I mean, I know sometimes, Ernie, you get starstruck. Like when we had Chris Robinson, I'm kind of starstruck with Tim being here, to be honest.
First time, Tim. I'm
Um,
always the one who gets starstruck. It's never Mr. Steele. It's the first time you
uh,
broke a record today.
right
I don't know.
on.
I just love this man. I just love what he has to teach. I love his heart. It's just amazing. So, Tim, we're going to just dive in. If you don't mind, we're just going to dive into what you're going to bring us today. But first, what I want to do is I know you got a little bit of a story background here. So I want you to give our audience a little bit of your story and how it all started and how it all came together, because it's quite interesting. So take it
Yeah.
away, brother.
Thanks, Steve. And I just want to say right up front here, I mean, that bio, it reads incredible. I didn't have a lot of self-confidence when I was growing up. I just want to tell you that what my
Mm,
parents instilled in me was a solid work ethic, but I really didn't learn about real leadership until after canceling a wedding that I'd been planning for 8 months.
Ooh.
And I want to paint the picture for you here. She had the dress, she had the bridesmaid dresses, she had the invitations, and what I had was cold feet.
Mm.
I'd been hanging out with guys I worked with after work, listening to them tell me, why do you want to do something stupid and screw up your life, like get married? You'll never have any more fun. And you know,
How old were you, Tim? How old were you at this time?
I was in my young 20s.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And I had a
That makes
great
sense.
work ethic, but I really didn't have any leadership skills. And I was very influential, and listening to those guys every day I was with them made me start thinking, you know what, you guys are right. So I met with my fiance and gave her the "it's not you, it's me" story.
Mm.
And if you think she took it well, you'd be wrong. It was devastating for her and her parents. After preparing for 8 months, I canceled the wedding. And after a couple of weeks, fast forward, I realized how bad I screwed up. And I naturally did what any guy would do.
Mm.
I called up and begged for forgiveness and suggested that we elope the next week.
How
Well,
did the
okay,
parents
she-
take that? Oh, Don,
Yeah,
how did
exactly.
this? How did she like take the message? Like, what?
Hey, all I can say is I can sell. So
You must have. Well, I do have a question though, Tim. Was any indication along the journey in the 8 months that you were engaged? Was there any in planning the wedding? Was there any indication that maybe you were having second thoughts through the
you
process,
know,
or was it just cold turkey and boom, it hit?
nothing like it had after I was being influenced so much from the guys that I was with. I think reality finally set in for me, and I realized this is coming sooner.
Mm.
So when I realized how bad I screwed up, we got our wedding license.
Yeah.
We met with her parents to pack our bags. And let me just set the stage for you. Her parents at this point, I wasn't their biggest fans.
Mm.
I'm
And
not
her
surprised.
dad
Can
was a man.
imagine.
Yeah. Her dad was a man of faith, set me down around the
Mm.
kitchen table and asked me several questions that night that I'll never forget. But three of them were, will you put God first in your life? Will you honor Julie with your life? And when you have children, will you raise them in a godly home? And at that time, it was like, when a guy wants a girl, what's he going to say? He's going to say yes,
yeah.
yes, and yes. So I mustered all the conviction I could. We got married on a Saturday night, drove home on Sunday, went back to work on Monday, real romantic. And less than a month later, she called her dad and said, Dad, I want an annulment, sobbing.
Ooh,
Mm.
turn it around on you.
I was still hanging out with those guys. After I got
Yeah.
married, now the influence was even worse from them, and I was so influential. Her dad told her on the phone, you're not coming home.
Mm.
I'll call Tim. And I'll never forget that call.
Oh.
He said, you remember when we were sitting around that kitchen table? He said, you're at a crossroads in your life right now. One path leads to success, the other path leads to failure. He said, I'm challenging you to put God first in your life, honor Julie with your life. And when you have children, raise them in a godly home. And then
I
he
love
said,
that.
and then he said 6 words I'll never forget. He said, I know you can do it. Had I not had that leader in my life that challenged me to get all in, he challenged me to get all into my decisions and not the decisions other people wanted for me. To be real with who I am and what I wanted and not what other people wanted for me. He challenged me to get all in, to get real, and to be bold. Whatever those challenges were going to be, to move forward. Had I not had him in my life, I wouldn't be on this call today with you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be speaking to your audience today had I not had a leader that cared enough about me to hold me accountable in that moment. Now, if you're listening to me right now, maybe you're at a crossroads in your life where you've got a decision to make. My challenge to you is, what decision do you need to make to get all in and not halfway in? And we're going to talk about what it means to be a real leader today, because today I spend my lifetime, I'm passionate about leadership because someone believed in me. I know you can do it. And I'm just going to tell you, Steve and Ernie, had I not had that leadership influence in my life today, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today.
Yeah, I do agree. And I also wanted to acknowledge your wife because she loves you so much to a point that after calling out a wedding, she was willing to elope with you and at the same time stick by your side this whole entire time, right? And also the love of your father-in-law, because if he did not care about you and the man that you are, he will just say, okay, then go ahead and leave him or not even let you marry your wife today. So that's what I think that the reason why you value your father-in-law's influence in your life right now is because of those, his belief in you. And I love that you said that he believed in you enough to trust in you and also convince you that you are the man that you are and assuring you that I know you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And isn't that what leadership is all about?
Yes.
It's having it's putting more focus on other people than yourself. And what he really instilled in me, I want to tell you something that has been resonating with me so much, is that leadership isn't about your title.
Yes.
It's about how you show up. It's about how you influence others and how you make a difference. And
Mm-hmm.
I had not had that example in my life before that. So to me, that encompasses everything about leadership. So again, I know in its simplest form, it may sound simple to many of you, but how we show up every day in every encounter
Mm-hmm.
takes a higher level of self-awareness. And that day for me, that call he made, I
Mm-hmm.
made a conscious decision to reverse course,
Yes.
change the course. And Ernie, thank you for mentioning my wife. We've been married now for 46 years, and it's been absolutely unbelievable. And we
Mm-hmm.
spend our lives working on not only developing ourselves, but developing
Yes.
other leaders.
I have a question, partner, if you don't mind.
Already.
So,
No, go ahead, Ernie.
this is very interesting because it's in my head right now. When your father-in-law said, "I know you can do it," right? There's this a lot of times when you're given this big responsibility, the greatest fear is, can I do it? Like not having that belief in yourself that you can do it. It's one thing that somebody else believes in you, but also you believing in yourself. How did you incorporate that belief system in yourself as you try to become the good leader or the good man your wife hoped for you to be?
I love that question, Ernie, and I've thought a lot about that. It's when we think about doing stuff like that, we tend to get inward in how people are going to view us, and can we do this, and will they value or respect, will they listen to me, what credibility will I have? That's all inward focus.
Mm-hmm.
What I learned from him was, if you think about the impact it would make on other people and get the focus off of yourself, every one of us has something that we can add value to other people with, if we will get the focus off how we think we're going to look, or how
Yes.
we're going to impact them. Get out of being inside yourself and get the focus on other people. I think for me, that was what made the difference in the example I had. Is it wasn't about, if I have more confidence if I can get excited about one or two things I might be able to share to add value, not to make me look good, but to impact the life of other people. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes.
Oh man. Oh man. Does it ever? Because in the times when I know that I have having struggles within myself, if I look inward, struggle more. But if I look for the value I can add to other people, it seems like those struggles, the inward struggles, go away.
Yeah.
Mhm.
and I'm focused on doing something for someone else and helping someone else.
Yes,
And
absolutely. And then
right? I mean,
one other thing that I've learned, Steve, and while I've got this, is one leader said to me one time, "I'm responsible to you, but not for you. I'm
yes.
responsible to you to share things I see, I've observed that I believe will help you, but I'm not responsible for what you do with those things." So for me, it's like I have a responsibility to you.
Wow. I love
Yeah.
that concept because a lot of times as leaders, we feel like we're very responsible for our team's actions.
Yeah, we got to carry them. Yeah.
Again,
And
if I can get the focus off myself and start
mm,
thinking about what are my responsibilities to you, whether it be on this call, whether it be with a team member on a phone call, in a relationship with a friend, what are my responsibilities to them? Now, it doesn't mean I'm walking around giving everyone advice, but as if I start thinking about that differently, I'm probably going to have more conversations that I need to have
Yeah.
versus that I don't want to have.
Yeah. Well, we might can answer this when we get back from our break, Tim, but I do have this kind of thought. Well, those people that are in corporate leadership, that they're dealing with, they have teams that are in corporate leadership. And let's say that they're responsible to their subordinates or their leaders that are underneath them, but they're not responsible for, but you're
Yes.
held accountable for the work that gets done as a
Yes.
leader,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So maybe when we come back from break, we can take a minute and discuss that.
Absolutely.
yes, we will take a quick break. Mr. Novak just shared how he learned leadership through canceling a wedding. When we return, he will answer Mr. Steele's question and also we will talk about what real leadership looks like.
Yes.
We will be
Yes.
right back to the Leader's Edge.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Leader's Edge. I'm Steve Steele with my co-host Ernie DeCumos and our special guest today, Tim Novak. Wow. Tim, you learned leadership through counseling a wedding. That's pretty
That's
amazing.
never
Pretty
going away.
amazing.
Oh my
It's never
God.
never
Yeah.
going away. But
Very
I did ask,
unexpected.
yeah, exactly. And I did have a question though, right before the break was, those people that are in corporate leadership, and they have maybe subordinates or leaders that are underneath them. And you made the statement we're responsible to, but not necessarily responsible for. So if I have a group of leaders that are underneath me and I'm responsible to them, but the workloads need to get done, it still falls back on me if the workloads aren't completed. So can you share with us a little bit about that dynamic and how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for detailing in that way. We are responsible for results. So what that says to us as leaders, and I just want to tell you statistically, communication is one of the biggest challenges that
Mhm.
organizations and leaders are dealing
That's
with.
right.
And
That's
how to
right.
have conversations that need to happen, productive conversations, specifically in the moment conversations about things like performance and results.
Mm-hmm.
Setting expectations early and often is so critical, but a lot of times leaders don't do it in a way with empathy. And when I say that,
I love this.
they focus on the IQ side of things and the technical side of getting things done, but they don't think more about the EQ side of things, in that world-class leaders understand the value of people. And we get results through people, and how we treat people is going to determine how fast and efficiently they get the work done.
Yes.
So if I have been clear about results, and we're going to talk about it and have adult conversations, whether we're on target or off target, that does not give me an excuse to treat you poorly.
Right.
I'm going to value you, but I'm also going to have hard conversations and ask you, what's your plan to get back on target, and what do you need from me? And I think a lot of leaders miss that step today. They just say, you need to get it done, and there's no relationship, or there's little relationship there. So does that help, Steve?
Yeah, and even if there is somewhat of a relationship, if a leader says, I mean, I have experienced this where a leader has told me, has given me feedback and on my performance, and I need to do better, or whatever, and they say, I'm here for you, but I don't really feel that, Tim. I don't feel that connection.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it could be just platitudes of words, and I don't really feel the connection. So, as leaders, how do we help our people really feel the connection that we need to make with them so that we can have that relationship at a deeper level?
I think it's about having transparent conversations with leaders. And one question I would, wherever you're at, if you're leading anyone today, one of the challenges I would have for you is the next Zoom call, the next one-on-one, or across the desk, you ask whoever it is, what's it like to work on the other side of the desk from me?
Ooh.
What's it like? What's it like to work on the other side of the desk from me, really? And I would challenge us all to get in the habit of doing that, because if I could honestly ask that question and then take that information and say, thank you, I'm going to work on that. If there's opportunities, rather than trying to justify or react in a way, it's gathering feedback. And what happened? We don't gather a lot of feedback. And I tell you what, if you tell me, you know what, Tim, I really like the way you do this specifically, the next time I do that specifically, I'm going to work to do it better than I did the time before, because I know you value it. But I think a lot of times we don't ask, what's it like to be on the other side of the Zoom screen from me? And that happened to me when I was on a conference call with my team, and I said, hey, how can I help you? And one of the guys spoke up and he said, every time we're on a conference call with you, we can hear you typing. You're not paying attention to us. And it felt like an arrow through my heart, but they were right. I'm so glad they did. I never used the computer again when I was on a conference call, because they helped me come to that realization that there's something standing in the gap from me connecting with them on the level that they felt we should connect with. So transparency and communication.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I know that when I talk to my leaders, I want them to feel what I feel. And sometimes I don't necessarily know how to communicate that, but they don't ever really ask either. And that's the sad thing, right?
Yeah. And
That's the sad
a
thing.
lot won't. They won't.
And they won't.
Yeah.
They won't, because they don't they
There's a
don't know how to
couple of
communicate. They
things.
don't know if it's going to impact them positively or negatively. But it's
Right.
our responsibility as leaders is to make people feel uncomfortable. I mean, make them feel comfortable. It's our job to make
Yes.
them feel comfortable, because a
Yeah.
lot feel uncomfortable unless we take the initiative.
Well, I would like to add too that maybe potentially some leaders, we already know the different types of leaders, right? There's a position, there's the expectation that when I have the title, I'm always right and I know everything, but that's not really what leadership is. But at the same time, me being a leader, I have to take the initiative to learn on how to become an effective leader. And sometimes, just like our mentor, Papa John, says, we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
We don't know what we don't know. So if we don't know how to communicate, if we don't know that we need to ask questions, we're in. And I'm not defending. It's more so this is my reality right now. I did not know this. So it's me learning and taking that initiative. But with that being said, this is why you're teaching us what a real
Yeah.
leader
Right. Beautiful
looks
segue, Renee.
like.
I love it.
Yes, I
Good
know.
job.
I'm getting good at this. I'm back.
You're getting good.
You're back. Getting back.
Mr.
Very
Novak,
good.
can you please get, I know it's an acronym. Can you please share the acronym and let's go over each letter, please, if you don't
Yeah, I'll
mind.
share that with you. And let me preface it by saying one of the ways I am today working to be a better leader is a leader impacted me with this statement. He said, every day you are selling people in every engagement, whether it's live, virtual, one on one, over the telephone, over a text, over an email, you are selling them in or out of you and your organization.
Ooh. Wow.
And
Please elaborate.
he
That
went
is
on to say,
powerful.
you're selling them that they are glad that they engaged with you, or they're
Yep.
questioning why they engaged with you. And if someone referred them to you, how you engage with them is going to determine their value in that person that referred them. Now, think about that for a minute. If someone sends a referral to me for something and I don't treat them with world-class communication, their value in the person that referred them
Mm,
just went down. Let me
yeah.
ask you this. Have you ever been to a restaurant someone referred to you that wasn't that good?
Yes.
Did you ever
Yes.
ask them for another restaurant referral?
No.
No.
You're like, oh my gosh, man, what is it? They must not be foodies, whatever it happens to be. So for me, a real leader means I need to understand that there's four key things that I need to be focused on in every engagement. The first thing is I got to be responsible.
Mm,
That means I've got to be responsible for my actions and the way I show up every day.
mm,
I've got to own the decisions and the actions that I have, take accountability for both my successes and my failures. I don't know about you, but I make mistakes every day.
mhm,
And responsibility means I don't pass on the blame. I'm transparent and learning from mistakes and sharing my failures with people. And I think a lot of leaders don't think about people will value them more for the mistakes they make
mhm.
sometimes and the
Yes.
challenges they've had than the successes they've had.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
for me, it's like, oh my gosh, I failed at a regular marriage and wedding for my wife. But you know what? There's value in that commitment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So responsibility means I got to take and own my actions. That means if I see something, I'm going to do it whether it's my responsibility or not. Hey, if I'm out shopping and somebody left their cup on the counter or shelf or that happens every day. You see stuff that's not your responsibility. Well, hey, take a minute and do it.
Yeah.
So for me, I can lead by example by being fully responsible for my accountability and my actions. That's the
Mm,
first piece of being a real leader is we got to be responsible.
yeah. I would like to add a phrase that I love by our friend Elizabeth McCormick. She said, leaders always show up. It's not if, it's when adversity hits, leaders always show up. It's the only thing that we can do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Elizabeth McCormick. She is
Yes.
a power hitter all the way. And you know what? She's all in. Every
Mm-hmm.
engagement, she is all in. She is real. She is
Mm-hmm.
responsible. And the next thing is she's authentic. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yes.
I think I'm getting ahead of myself here.
Okay, let's go back. We'll
Let's go
talk
back.
about Elizabeth later.
We'll talk about Elizabeth later. The second thing in real is you got to be excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be excellent in all you do. Now, John talks about that. John Maxwell talks about in every organization, there's this pile of people. I think Jim Collins talked about it in his book, Good to Great, to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
said, in every organization, there's this pile of people. And if you want to advance in your career faster, earn more, all of that, it's not about you and your ego, but you got to find a way to get out of that people pile
Yep.
and be above average. And being excellent means you can't be average. Now, I was with
Mm.
John a few weeks ago and had opportunity to have dinner with him with a small group of people, and we were talking about this subject, and he shares a few things about what's it mean to get out of the people pile.
Yes.
Well, as an example, what time do you have to show up for work? Whatever that time is, you show up a little bit early. Whatever that time is, you go home, you stay a little bit later to get yourself out and prepared more. He said, do something for someone that is not your job every day. If you will do that and intentionally look for that, you'll get noticed and people will start to say, wow, you're not average.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he said, if you just go to the person that hired you or the president of the company and thank them for giving you the opportunity and give them your cell number and say, if there's anything I can do for you ever, it's the least I could do to help you for giving me an opportunity here. Those
Mm-hmm.
three things will set you out of the people pile. Now, when I was with John a couple of weeks ago, he said, getting out of the people pile and being excellent is important, but it can be duplicated. He said,
Mm.
you want to be distinctive.
Ooh.
And he
Tell us
said,
how.
and
How do you do that?
that right there, that was like the light bulb went on.
Yeah.
Be distinctive to where people remember you, not because of how charismatic you are, not because of how great you think you are, but what is it that makes you distinctive? Whether it's
Mm.
influencing other people, whether it's being the best at your job and finding a way to get better. That takes a whole different level of leadership to go from being
Yes.
excellent to distinctive.
Yes.
I
Wow.
love that. Be
So
distinctive.
I got to be responsible.
Hmm?
I got to be excellent in all that I do. The next thing is I got to be authentic. And we've talked a little bit about this. You being authentically who you are with what you look like, what shape you are, what you wear. It's being okay with who you are. You can add value to people regardless.
Mm.
And as I mentioned earlier, I had no self-esteem when I was younger. I had no self-confidence, but someone saw something in me that I didn't see in myself and helped me realize it wasn't about me. It was
Yeah.
about the potential I had to add value in the lives of other people by doing a few basic things. So I just want all the listeners out there that are thinking, hold it, I can't influence people at a higher level. Yes, you can. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about you. It's about you adding value to other people, being authentically you.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to sit on this for a little bit because I wanna sit on it. So being authentic, there's a common misconception that being a leader, I want to break it right now. Being a leader, you have to have a position, but you're sharing, Tim, that you just have to be yourself in
Yeah.
order to influence others. Can you like elaborate on this aspect? How is it not about being in the position and it's being just being who you are and how you influence others?
Yeah. That's the first level of leadership. People follow you because they have to, because it's your
Mm,
role, not because they want to. That's level one leadership. And as a leader, anybody we hire, we're on level one with them. They're following us
mm-hmm,
because they don't know us, because they have to, because of our title. And it's our job to get them to level 2 as quickly as possible. And it's always about relationships. So what
Mm.
that means is that I have to be comfortable initiating the relationship with someone that's working with me or that I want to work alongside as a leader. I have to be authentic and being okay and sharing who I am, like sharing the fact that I had no self-confidence. I failed at a wedding. I made some stupid mistakes and being okay with that without fear that, you know what, people aren't going to respect me as a leader because I've been too vulnerable with them. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm sharing everything with all the people that report to me, but it means
Right.
I can be comfortable in saying, you know what, some of the challenge struggles that I have,
Yeah.
man, are delegation or procrastination or whatever it happens to be, and be real with people.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that helps, Ernie,
Yeah,
but
for sure. Even like, do you share some of the mistakes that you've also did? I mean, besides the wedding too, but did you also share a few mistakes that you've done in the past so that it could be a learning opportunity to a team member to learn?
yeah, absolutely. I've made several decisions where I didn't take them in consideration. I took the bottom line in consideration. And I
Mm,
think a lot of leaders make that decision. When I was with the organization I was with, we had to get company vehicles for everybody. Well, I didn't think about the team and their size and what kind of shape they were in and all that. So I ordered the most cost efficient minivan we could find. And it was
mm,
less than a couple months. It was like the first month in, it was like we made a huge investment, but I didn't think about them. And we
wow.
had so many problems that took us over 12 months to recover because I didn't put the people ahead of the program. And what happens is we when we put the people ahead of whatever process, program, productivity we have, we'll get the productivity. We'll get the results. If the people are first,
Mm,
leadership is
yes.
not what it used to be. And it used to be get the job done or I'll find someone that will.
Yeah,
It's totally different today.
It
it
really
is.
is. Wow.
Definitely. Okay, so we will need to take a quick break. Mr. Novak just shared the first three letters from the acronym REAL, REA and L. R for responsible, E for excellent, A for authentic. When we return, we will tackle the last letter in that acronym. We will be right back to the Leader's Edge.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Leader's Edge. I'm Steve Steele with my co-host Ernie DeCumos and our special guest today, Tim Novak. That segment went by so fast, and we only got three of the letters of three of the letters are the how do I want to say that? There's
Real.
four letters. Yeah, there's four in the acronym, but we only got three completed. And so we're going to talk about the last one, which I think in the word real, it's L. Tim, take us there.
Yeah, in everything in leadership today, we'll be responsible, we'll be excellent, we want to be authentic in who we are, and we want to be lifelong learners.
Yes.
Growth is a journey,
Mm,
it's not a destination.
Right. That's
And
right.
if we can understand as leaders that we have a responsibility, as John says, to see further than other leaders do that following us, I have a responsibility to see further and faster than those that are behind me as a leader. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm feeling great and promoting that, but I have a responsibility to constantly be growing. In fact, Zig Ziglar said a long time ago that when you're green, you're growing.
mm-hmm,
When you're
mm-hmm.
brown, you rot.
Yeah.
So for
Yes.
me, and Zig Ziglar was such an influential speaker in my life that constantly putting something into my mind is so important today. So when you think about it, I mean, I love golf. I'm learning more about golf today than I did 40 years ago as a kid when I played golf in school. And it's it, it's just absolutely incredible. So my challenge to the group as a team is embrace the idea
Mm-hmm.
that there's always more to learn about what you're doing and how to do it. So that means I need mentors, I need peers around me. And again, one of the things I'm even learning today is that, I can make a lot of the right decisions or have success when I make them on my own. But when I bring people alongside me, those decisions, my percentage of making the right ones go up because I'm
Mm,
collaborating with other people. So being a lifelong learner doesn't mean that I'm just reading and I'm listening to podcasts. It means that I'm bringing people into my life that I believe can make a higher level of influence on me and learning as a leader. And then share what I'm learning with other people, not as a way to make me look good, but to share with them to help them get further faster. So
mm-hmm.
being a lifelong learner is so important in
Yeah.
being the leader that they deserve. Now, when you think about that,
Mhm.
being the leader that those that report to you deserve, that takes a higher level of awareness.
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
I wanted to also ask Tim, as a leader, sometimes we have this notion that we have to have all the answers when leading our team, right? But you mentioned earlier collaboration.
Mhm.
Would collaboration with your team also be beneficial when you're like trying to learn?
Absolutely. And I think the more a leader can say, you know what, I don't know. Using the words, I don't know, that's a great
Yeah.
question. I don't know. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
The more I can say, if I really don't know, if I can be transparent and say, well, that's a great question. I don't know. What do you think? Leaders don't have to have the answers. Again, I think leadership today is different than it used to be. We think we had to
Yes,
have
it
all the
is.
answers, we had to fix it. We didn't like problems, quite frankly. Leadership today, the higher you go in an organization, the bigger the problems are, and
Mm-hmm.
they're flown in fresh every day. And some days the shipment is a lot larger than
Yeah.
you expect. But being transparent and using the words I don't know versus I know, I can't tell you how much that's helped me out in my leadership, just admitting, you know what, I don't know.
Yeah. I think, Tim, and what I've done in some of the teachings that I've taught is the fact that the solutions of most everything is always found in the collaboration of people. You usually
Yes.
don't find it in yourself because everybody gets siloed, right? We get siloed
Yep.
in our own head, siloed in our own situation, and we're hard for us to move out of that place. But when we collaborate with other leaders or collaborate even with your teams, the solutions are found within the collaboration. I really truly believe that. And sometimes it's not what we think it should be. And it is something maybe we didn't even really think about, but it's something that moves us forward toward the solution. And so that's really powerful. I think collaboration with your teams, collaboration with other peers is all very, very important to your leadership, because it's like Simon Sinek said, leadership's not about being in charge. It's about taking care of people in your charge.
Oh,
And
yes,
it's a
absolutely.
beautiful way to say it. It's a beautiful way to say it. And of course, John adds that value to that all the time, by leadership is influence.
Yeah.
So I mean, does that make sense? I mean,
Yeah.
I wish more leaders would do that. I wish more leaders would actually take that moment, because there's been times when I've sat in a leadership meeting with my peers. Sometimes I sat in with my subordinates and I said, I don't know. I simply don't have the answer here. We got to talk about this. We got to figure this thing out together. And I love that question that you said a minute ago. What's it like sitting across the table from where I'm at? Because then that allows you to put yourself in that place. Because
Absolutely.
they tell you what those things are, if they're honest with you.
Absolutely. Um, one of our high level leaders in the Maxwell organization, his name's Ray Popham, made a huge impact on me several years ago around this very topic and helping me be more transparent. He said, be good at what you do. Now, I want you to think about this. Be good at what you do, whether you're radio announcing, whether you're selling, whatever it happens to be. He said, be good at what you do, but be great at who you are.
Yeah.
I think today, I would rather have someone across the table from me say, you know what? You're good at what you do, but you are amazing at who you are. That to me, as a leader, is such a higher compliment. It says
Yes.
technical skills are important, but the emotional quotient, the EQ side of things is so much more valuable.
It is. And I find it in corporate settings sometimes that the people that we're sitting across the table from, they're really good at what they do, but they're not that great as a person.
Exactly. But when the light goes on for them and they truly get that, it can be transformational in your leadership. So if you're listening to this right now and you're going, oh my gosh, my question to you would be, what's one thing you could do to start being great at who you are? Not just good at who you are, great at who you are. And it might just be letting the next person that you meet with know how much you value them. And maybe saying to them, you know what? I know I haven't said this to you, but I value you because of this. That is a great way to start becoming great at who you are. They already know you're good at what you do, more than likely.
Yeah.
So just love that, what Ray shared. It really has resonated with me as a leader.
That is so beautiful. I have one last question as we are approaching conclusion of our show. If I am a listener who would love to incorporate becoming a real leader,
Yes.
where would you advise me to start, Tim?
Good question.
All right. You want to be a real leader? First thing you could do is pick up John's book, Developing the Leader Within You 2.0.
Yep.
Had I not found that book in the early 1990s, I wouldn't have had almost a 40-year career with the U.S. franchisor that I did. In fact, that book made such an impact on me, I gave it to everyone I hired for 20 years.
Wow.
So I would say every leader needs to read that book, and there's so much in there that is applicable today. You know, if you're looking for some resources, you can go to my website. I'll give you that information in a minute. But I would say jump in. John Maxwell's written more books on leadership than anyone in the world, over 90. Just go pick a subject that resonates.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much for today's teaching, Tim, Mr. Novak. This has been an amazing session. I'm sure our listeners are wondering, what are you currently working on and how can people connect with you?
Yeah, so great question. I'm currently working on curriculum that we can go into organizations and develop their leaders around the 5 levels of leadership. You know, the Maxwell organization does a 1-day workshop on the 5 levels of leadership, but if your organization needs work in those 5 levels, and virtually every organization does, we're working on putting together a comprehensive development plan to help your organization get from level 1 to level 2, 3, 4, and 5 faster. So I'm excited about that project, and I'm collaborating with other Maxwell leadership members there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also working on my own projects. I've got a new website that launches within the next week. If you're interested in that, it's realleadershipdevelopment.com. Pretty easy to remember.
Pretty good.
realleadershipdevelopment.com. There's some free leadership resources there for you. You can find out about that. I wrote my first book in November of last year. I'm working on some other things. And if you're in sales, and in reality, we're all in sales,
Mm-hmm.
you can pick up my book on Amazon. Audio is super cheap, I think, and you can get the paperback.
What's the name? What's the name of the book?
The name of that is Building Your Sales Brand.
Oh.
How to avoid the top 10 mistakes salespeople make, regardless of what you sell. So if you make mistakes selling, and virtually every salesperson does, it's a mistakes book. How can you increase your ability to connect with potential clients faster and get to your whatever your product or resource is for them? So super excited about that. It became an Amazon bestseller in the first 24 hours, and it's totally unbelievable. So grateful for the opportunity and unbelievable results. So
Amazing.
Yeah, I got to get that book. I don't think Ernie, you got it already. I'm right behind you though.
Yes, I
going to
got
get
it
that
the
book.
same day I bought it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim. Hey guys, a sneak peek for next Thursday. Yeah, I said that kind of funny. Sneak peek for next Thursday on the Leader's Edge. Join us as we welcome Bryn Dembrowski. She's a neuroscientist, executive coach, and international speaker for a powerful conversation on pivot with purpose, navigating career and life transitions with confidence. So don't miss it. And as always, Tim, thank you so much for today. It was a pleasure. It's a dream come true for me to have you on our show. Thank you so much.
absolutely was my pleasure. I wish you all the best. Thanks again.
Thank you again, Tim. And just for the record, this is the guest where Mr. Steele has been starstruck record.
Thank you.
Also, we wanted to say thank you to all of our listeners and friends because without you, the Leader's Edge would not be possible. We are grateful to have you here and so excited to connect with you next time.